Giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakwadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone, as well as the men that taught them, and peace and blessings unto the 144,000, as well as the rest of the elect. This is Brother Tazapah, here with you with another lunch special, all right, on this Monday afternoon. And today we're going to be serving up some U.S. foreign policy, all right? And last week I mentioned a video by Shahid Bolson, all right? And I have that video today. And he's speaking about democracy, okay? And that was, I forget which lesson, but I was going into here. Well, actually, I was going into Daniel, okay? Chapter 7 and 7. And it says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. All right. Now, this fourth beast was the Roman Empire. All right. And it said it was dreadful and terrible. All right. Because of its military might and its ability to conquer. Okay, I went into that last week. It says, and strong exceedingly. And I even did a video, a lesson on a short. All right, they had a short on YouTube dealing with the Roman soldiers and how they trained. All right, they would walk up to 5 miles a day, at least, carrying all their gear. All right, but once they got to their destination, the work just began. The hike wasn't the work, all right? That was the preparation. So once they got to the destination, they was to set up a full camp, a full-blown camp, all right? With defenses, how did they word it? Earthworks, all right? Earthworks, which mean they dug trenches and they had hedges. They would build, natural earth hedges. And so they would have a full camp built by the end of the day. And just to leave the next day on another hike. And to do it again, all right? And then they would train, all right? They build camp after the hike, and they build camp, then they would train, all right? That's what made them dreadful and terrible. Their whole life was like they took a page from the Spartans, all right? War was their life. Okay, so that made them terrible and strong exceedingly, all right? Then they had these military, the Most High rose up, military geniuses like Julius Caesar, all right? And other even, what's his name? Marcus, Octavius, who came up after Julius. Augustus, Octavius Augustus. These men was known for their military prowess. All right, so this made Rome undefeatable. And that's what this is saying. And it had great iron teeth in reference to the military. All right. The teeth is your ability, or a nation's teeth or a kingdom's teeth is its ability to defend and protect itself. All right. To devour. And that's what Rome did. All right. It says, right. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. All right. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns, all right? So it was diverse because ancient Rome had a senate. Not a king who ruled from a throne, but they had a Caesar and a senate, and the power rested between the two, all right? So that the Caesar wouldn't get too big and that the Senate would never get too big because the Senate consists of, I don't know how many they had back then. Today it's 100 in the U.S., roughly 2 per state. I don't know how many ancient Rome had, all right? But today, the ruling power in the world, all right, which is the ruled by the Edomites. The Edomites' power structure, all right, what that they set up is the revised Roman Empire, all right? And they instituted things such as the Treaty of Rome, okay? And they have the EU today, which which is the ancient Roman European Economic Community. Today, that's the EU. So we're in this revised Roman Empire today, and it is still diverse, okay? Then I wanted to look at right here, Jeremiah 51:7, which says, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken, all right? It said, the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, all right? And that wine that these nations drunk of are the doctrines, ideologies, the philosophies that came out of Babylon, all right? And in the lesson, I mentioned the main ones, all right? The 3 top ones, you got Catholicism, in the form of their religion. You got the Federal Reserve Note, which is the world reserve currency, okay? And it's causing the world economic woes. Catholicism has everybody lost, all right, and stuck in their lower vibration, all right? You will not get any spirituality at these harlot houses. They're designed to bleed you dry of your material resources, and not to replenish you in the spirit, all right, but just to deplete you materially, all right, and leave you empty spiritually, all right? And then we have democracy, all right? And this is the main reason, and this is why I titled it U.S. Foreign Policy, all right? Because their foreign policy is because their kingdom is diverse, so they would like to set up this diverseness all over the world, all right? Through the democracy. And then with democracy, the U.S. and the powers that be can get a foothold in these countries and bleed them dry. But that's all you saw. At the end of the day, the Edomite is a cancer on society, all right? A vampire, if you will, of resources as well as other things. And he's just I can't say he doesn't serve a purpose, because he does, but the purpose that he serves, all right, is one that we no longer need, all right? See, his whole thing was to set up to teach us a lesson. Lesson learned, Abba, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Lesson learned. And we can get rid of this motherfucker now. You know, all we need for the Lord have him bring this MOTB, all right, and somebody kick this third woe off, and then we popping. We in Jacob's trouble. You know, we are in Jacob's trouble. But let the man speak before I run out of time. I'm going off again on a tangent. This is Shahid Bolson, all right? Let him speak.
Well, it's divide and conquer. I mean, if you wonder why American society is so divided, I mean, divided in so many ways. It isn't just that the divides are deep, it's that the divides are so many. black and white, race against race, advocates of this issue against opponents of this issue, even men against women and women against men. There isn't a single category within that society that doesn't have some corresponding nemesis. It's just divide and conquer, playing out domestically. And Democrats and Republicans is just another one of these divisions, because the country has been conquered by corporate economic imperialists. Look, I don't care who you vote for in November, because power doesn't care who you...
America has been conquered by, he said, the imperial corporate interest. And that's true. And that's what I spoke on, the corptocracy, last week.
For in November. I've said it before, the corporate economic imperialists. Look, I don't care who you vote for in November, because power doesn't care who you vote for in November. I've said it before. If you imagine that unelected power of the private sector is going to entrust the public with deciding how things are going to be run and who's going to run things, then you're living in a fantasy. It's absurd. America has subverted, sabotaged, and strangled democracies all around the world. They've been interfering with, tampering with, rigging elections across the globe for decades, from Haiti to Honduras.
And that's how they expand their empire, through democracy. If they can't get the democracy in there, they'll bring the Catholicism, which is to open it up for democracy. All right? But bottom line, they have to get their leaders into these places, okay, so they can rape, rob, and pillage the people.
Italy to Iran, from Syria to South Africa. They've toppled governments, assassinated elected officials, fixed elections, bribed and bullied and bulldozed democracies on every continent for a century. They don't think that any population in any country in the world can be trusted to elect leaders who will safeguard the interests of the American elite. So what makes you think that they're going to trust you with that power? They rig elections and install whoever they want in country after country, but somehow you think that they're not going to do that in your country. Why, how naive can you be? Listen, the election cycle in America is nothing but a mechanism for what you can call the campaign industrial complex, whereby billions upon billions of dollars of contributions, your money, are funneled into the private sector. I mean, when you donate to a politician or you donate to a candidate, where do you think that money goes? It goes directly to business. You're not doing anything but increase the revenue streams of consultancies, ad agencies, analytics firms, PR firms, media companies, social media companies, digital marketing agencies, events coordinators, on and on. This is nothing but the public providing basically an economic stimulus package to unproductive industries. It's a wealth transfer that you yourselves are participating in. You're literally just donating money to the private sector and getting nothing in return. Getting nothing in return except that you get to watch the most expensive fan fiction movie about democracy ever produced. I mean, look at the Democrats. Kamala Harris was just appointed as the nominee. She wasn't voted for. This is straight up succession, not election.
If y'all remember, they just shot her in there. They said, "Oh, Joe too old." After all the 3 years, we were saying, that motherfucker's decrepit. Then it got right down to election. Oh, you know, they had the little thing, and him and Trump had the debate, and then now all of a sudden, he too old. He too old after all the old shit that he did in 3 years. That one debate, which I thought was a better debate of the travesties that he had been having. I thought that was a decent debate for Joe. They said, "Oh, he too old." And then they just shot Kamala in there. Nobody said nothing. Nobody said nothing. And this is why, it ain't why, but this is a big part of the reason why we are here right now in society. As far as all of this chaos that's going on, the chaos needs to go on. All right? We need that. I'm not speaking against the chaos. What I'm saying is, how are you people going to fight with your heads up your asses? That's what I'm saying. Y'all just going to let these people just run over y'all? And I ain't saying to take up arms. I'm saying, damn, Y'all ain't gonna say nothing? Y'all just gonna walk headlong into destruction. And that's what I see. This is what I see. Yeah, y'all gonna go vote in the midterms. Out of all of this chaos, everything that they showed you, your government has showed you tyranny. All right? Need I remind you what America was set up for? To escape government tyranny. And they set America up so that it would never go into government tyranny again. Need I remind you, no taxation without representation. And that was the campaign, or not campaign, but that was the cry, all right, of 1776 or 1775, all right. They had enough of the government. And so I ask, when will y'all have enough? Look, till ICE is pulling you out your house butt naked. Then you want somebody to feel sorry for you. But now you just one person. All right, and the rest of the world got jobs and shit and children and families to tend to. They're not worried about your one little case. Although it'll be them tomorrow, this is how they get y'all. As he said, the first words, this first phrase, divide and conquer. We don't care what each other have going on. Then somebody gets shot. Then it's all, you know, we need to march, we need to come together. Then that's reactionary. As long as they got you reacting, they got you. Because that's what they want. Problem that they create. Then your reaction, which has already been pre-calculated, because they got a solution already waiting for you. This is what they want. They don't expect you to react. They expect you to, they don't expect you to proact. That throws a monkey wrench in the plan. But they're already expecting you to react. All right? And this is why y'all keep losing. The prophet's giving you the info to be proactive. You know? But one way or another, America is going down. And you can either go out with it on your knees, or you can stand up and say something. And that's all I'm saying. Say something. And that's all it takes a lot of time. Say something.
There were no primaries. She hasn't had to outline her policy platform, and no one needs her to do that. All she has to do is to not be Donald Trump. This is the logic of demonization versus policy debate as a campaign strategy. No candidate has to win your approval as long as the whole election is framed in the lesser of two evils scenario. And what's the point of that? To make the pre-programmed win seem plausible, that's all. And to not leave any opening for dissent to manifest that might make the win seem implausible.
And a vote for evil makes you evil. You can't vote for something and not be a part of it and not be it. So when you vote for these candidates like Trump, and he goes into Venezuela, send troops to, that means you down with it. Now y'all want to renege and backtrack, but it's done. Elia esta est. Shit, is that right? Elia iacta est. All right, the die is cast. All right, that's a little Latin. Elia iacta est. All right? Yeah, that die is cast. And Trump already said ain't no more election after this. Not saying that he gonna be in there, but AI is gonna be in there. There won't be no more election. All right? That's what the lady with the video I did last week, the 2-part. All right. She said that, well, she actually played the clip of Trump saying we got it fixed. You won't have to worry about this no more. We fixed it. What you fixed, Trump? Yeah, they got it fixed, though. So y'all ain't have to worry about this no more. Now imagine that. Imagine that.
For instance, if voters actually have demands of this candidate or that candidate, and the candidate fails to address those demands, then it could cast doubt upon their eventual victory. And inevitably, if a candidate does address voter demands, well, that will always end up alienating some other faction of voters. So we don't talk about issues. We don't talk about how to deal with issues. We just rally behind our party's candidate in lockstep, because the other party's candidate is literally the devil incarnate. When you're operating in the lesser of two evils framework, you're always going to have decidedly low expectations of your chosen candidate, and that's perfect when the election is already fraudulent in the first place. So this uncomplicates the rigging process. Yes, I said rigging, and don't think for a second, don't you imagine that that's a conspiracy theory, that the U.S. rigs elections. But between 1946 and 2000, America is documented to have interfered with, tampered with, malignly influenced or outright rigged at least 88 elections from Europe to Latin America to Asia to Africa. So again, if you think that they'll do this everywhere else, but your so-called democracy is pristine, I would have to ask you why you think so. Why would it be more important to the power structure to control the outcome of an election in, say, Guyana, than it would be for them to control the outcome of an election in the United States of America? Because yes, Guyana is one of the countries where America rigged elections in the past. I'm telling you, I don't care who you vote for, because power doesn't care who you vote for, because the outcome is not determined by you. You know, Biden stepped aside because his pre-programmed victory could never be convincing. But look, Biden himself, the fact of Biden, a man who is literally in late-stage senility, a man who is visibly disintegrating before our eyes, the very fact that he was not only president, but was absolutely going to be run for another term, despite being a cadaver on strings, that should let you know that power does not reside in that office. Politicians serve two functions. The first is to distract you with the performance of democratic government, and the second is to be effigies that can be burned to satisfy public anger when the policies dictated by the private sector impose misery on the population. So when an American...
Like, I want to say Tricky Dick, I'm trying to think of his name. God damn it. Nixon. All right. Right. They made him the scapegoat, although, like he's saying, the presidents don't run anything. All right. But they had to vilify Nixon to satisfy the people. All right. But Nixon did set in place this Federal Reserve, this U.S. dollar as the Federal Reserve note. He set up the petrodollar, which is, again, another one of the reasons why the nations have drunken of the wine of Babylon and are mad. All right. Right now, he's going into the democracy, and as you saying, as you're hearing, it's all corrupt. And I just wanted to play half today. We'll get into the other half tomorrow. We coming up on the 6-minute mark, and I'm gonna end it there.
Asks me who should they vote for, or when they say that this one is better than that one, or at least not as bad as that one, and what do I think, and so on and so on and so on. Well, you may as well be asking me about which Marvel superhero is better than the other, because you're not talking to me about figures who have any real significance with regards to policy. You're not talking.
So we'll leave it right there, and right, and that's what people have to understand. You vote, and then you say stuff like, you know, I'm gonna vote for the lesser of two evils. The scriptures say, "Follow not a multitude to do evil." You know. But we'll get that. But just to go back over the scripture so you can understand Jeremiah 51:7, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. America, that made all the earth drunken. All right. And he just explained how the democracy has made the all these different countries around the world, from Europe to Latin America to Africa, these countries that implement this democracy, all right, that Babylon pushes on them, and then they end up in poverty, impoverished. This is why they said all the earth, that made all the earth drunken, the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. And we'll get into more of this madness, all right, tomorrow, because we see it in the world. The entire earth is mad, all right? And it's going to bring about this third world woe, all right? So stay tuned to tomorrow. We're going to chop it up some more with this third world woe and this U.S. foreign policy. So till then, y'all stay up. Much love. Shalom.